are in Iowa. It looks like there is a little bit of connection problem because parts of Iowa are in a blizzard and the wind is blowing. So if for some reason we cut out, just know that I am going to keep going, and we'll hopefully get all of this in. But it is time for Spring Break Snippets. So you need to take a break, sit down, and make sure that you are ready to learn maybe a new trick or something. And just hang on, I'm going to have you go and check on any kind of Facebook, I don't care, and see, it says we are live. If you are watching, jump in the comments and tell me where you are watching from. We'll see if I get to see them or not. Goldie's going to check and make sure it looks like we are live. But we are having fun with spring break. It is... yep, there we go. I see a comment coming up. Awesome, awesome. Keep telling me where you're watching from and what you are doing this afternoon, and if you're on spring break or not. Like I said, parts of Iowa are in blizzard conditions. Here in central Iowa, we are okay. Just a little dark and dreary. But I have decided that today was going to be all about backing fabric. And you want to say sometimes by the time you get done with the quilt top, you're like, put something on the back, right? Or you could really put some thought into it. And I want to just address a few different things today about math, and we have a little school lesson even though it's spring break, right? And about choices. And it comes all down to choices and what works best for you. And if you hang out long enough, we will have a coupon code at the end. So you might want to stick around for that. So the first thing I'm going to tackle is a little bit about backing fabric and math. And I'm going to try to keep this as simple as possible, okay? I love to draw diagrams. If you saw yesterday, I don't know why this week we're having diagrams. Okay, so here is my quilt top. So we're going to pretend that I have a quilt top that's 60 by 80. So I want you to notice on there that I've written 60 by 80, and that's in black. Then in red, I've added the measurements. You need an additional 3 inches around all sides of your quilt top. So that's 6 inches total. That would be the minimum that I would want to add, whether I was quilting it at home or sending it to a long armor or long arming it myself, any of those kinds of things. So 6 inches. So now in red, my backing needs to be 66 by 86. There's so many different options these days for backing fabric. We've got 44, 45 inch fabric, 60 inches, 90 inches, 108, 118. Sometimes it can get to be like, what are the pros and cons of all of that? So let's first talk about our first option. We want 44, 45 inch fabric. Why? One reason you would want to select a 44, 45 inch fabric is that you probably can get it in a bolt that matches the fabrics that are on the top of your quilt. And so if you're looking for a certain, like a collection, like you like Kim Deal, or you like Lori Holt, or you like Jason Yenter, and you want it to absolutely match the fabric on the top, then you're going to want to stick in that collection that's going to be that 44 inch wide. Okay. So that's a pro. That's a good reason to pick that size, because not every collection has a wide back. Not at all. Very few, actually. We wish they had more. So now when I look at this quilt, immediately I look at this measurement of 86. If I have, from our lesson yesterday, 42 usable inches between selvage edges, then that means I'd have an 84 inch piece if I sewed two widths together. Okay, that's smaller than 86. So I could not do 2 lengths horizontally, but I could do 2 lengths vertically. So still my top and bottom, my 60 and my 80, you got that. But I could do 2 lengths of fabric so that my selvages, I've marked where my selvages are, Okay, so got that. At the bottom here, I did a little calculation, and I think it's probably going to turn around reverse, so I apologize, but we will, I could hopefully, put these in a different way to show you. But I take that 86 inches, so this length, I need 2 of those lengths, so times 2 is 172. I got to read my own writing backwards. Then I divide it by 36 inches to see it is 4.777, or I'm going to buy 4 7/8 minimum of 44-45 inch fabric. So that way I only have one seam. It is vertical, but if that does not matter to you, then you've got that ability to do that. If you say, oh, I want horizontal seams, and there's different reasons. We could go on for hours. I could explain how you load a long arm and why you want seams in certain directions, all that kind of stuff, but we're going to keep it simple today. Let's just say you want horizontal seams. All right, well then, because that 88 is not, 86 is not going to fit in that 84, I now have to have 3 lengths. And you would take the 66 times 3 divided by 36, 5.5. So you'd buy 5.5 yards of 44-45. And you're like, it's the same quilt top. Why is it, this was 4 7/8 and this is 5.5. Why is it an extra 5/8 of a yard? You'd end up, because your backing, if you do 3 lengths, your backing fabric would actually end up to be more like 42 times 3, 126 inches. Therefore, it would be larger. So you'd have an extra piece at the end. Sometimes that works out. That's ends up being the binding of a quilt, or you put it into the stash pile for the next quilt, or maybe you need it for the backing of a table runner, all sorts of things. So you have that choice between vertical and horizontal. When you come into Hen and Chick Studio, we love drawing little diagrams like this, or at least I do. I'm dorky that way, right? And love to be able to help you with that and make those calculations so that you can make that decision, okay? Now, if you say, oh, but I love wide backs, which is what we're talking about today, backing and wide backs, then let's talk about that. So I said we have 60-inch wide. All right, 60-inch wide is going to be the Cuddle Luxes. You do not want to stretch those, and they technically say 58, 60. So I am not going to be able to, on that 60 by 80 quilt or 66 by 86 backing, be able to use the 60-inch wide unless I pieced it. You can piece Cuddle. You just have to pin more, and when you think you've pinned a lot, pin even more. Okay, but so you can piece it, but it's just one of those things. It's harder. So if I went to 90 inches, oh, it would work beautifully. It'd be one piece. And so I've got the calculation down here that it would be one piece of 90 inch, and it would be 1 7/8 yards of 90 inch wide. And that is what you would need if you got a C390. Okay, or if you're in love with all the 108s and 118s, mostly 108s that we have here in this store, then again, you would only have to buy 1 7/8 yards so that you would definitely be able to fit that in there. So that is very exciting. And again, because then there's no piecing, all that. One of the things I do recommend is that you always talk to your long armor. If you are going out and sending your quilts out, talk to your long armor about how they like the salvages. My recommendation here at Hen and Chick Studio, and I'm going to use this example, is these 2 salvages. Again, we talked a little bit yesterday in the video about removing the salvages. These 2 salvages should always come out of your back, of your backing fabric. You don't want those in there because it's tighter weave. Your needle could hit it. It could change the tension in the machine. It's all that kind of stuff. It's going to be different. But you always leave this salvage and this salvage on. So even in this example, right? that my backing fabric would end up, if I did not trim anything, it would end up being 126 by the 66. You leave it at 126. You don't trim it down to that 86 because long armors love to have the selvages at the top and the bottom to help line up things on the machine. So absolutely talk to your long armor. If that is something that if you just cut off all selvages, again, it's not that you can't do it with it, but it's easier for the long armor. You don't waste any of your good fabric, and every inch is valuable these days, right? So just want to absolutely talk about those two things. All right. Let's see. I'm looking at my notes real quick. All right. Let's talk a little bit about choosing a back color and why you would want to have one of these beautiful pieces, depending on what color you want. A couple of things that it comes down to is actually what would you, how are you going to quilt it, and what color of thread you're going to use, and what do you like to see. There is absolutely no wrong choice here, okay? So Goldie, I am ready for some show and tell, okay? So we're gonna start with, not to worry, luckily we don't have China in here when we drop things. Okay, so this is a quilt that Goldie and Virginia made. Let's show the front of it, because I think then they can get the idea. So this is a quilt. It's been hanging here in the store for a long time, and it is using all
cherry wood.
Cherry wood, thank you. Cherry wood fabrics, which look solid from a distance. So the story I always tell is that, hang on one minute. The story I always tell is that one time I sent a quilt out and it had a lot of bright colors on the front like this. I told the person to custom quilt it. It looked gorgeous from the front. And when I turned it over and when we got it back, I was not prepared for the rainbow of colors on the black background. And it should have dawned on me, because long armors like the thread on the top of the machine to match the thread in the bobbin. We're going to come back and talk a little bit about that again. But she had changed the bobbin thread every time she changed the top thread. So if a block was red, then her thread was red. If the block was blue, her thread was blue. It was beautiful on the back, but it wasn't what I was expecting, and it wasn't my favorite. So when this quilt came up, and I wanted Stephanie, who works here, and her mom to have full freedom, and I didn't want to have any worries, I said, you pick the colors or whatever. I chose a busy back. Check that out. So you can see here, like literally here, you want to go that way. Look how beautiful. We don't have this one anymore. This backing is gone. But there is absolutely, it would not have mattered what color she chose to quilt. And then I knew it wouldn't matter to me on the back, right? So busy back. What's funny at the end of the day is she machine quilted it all in black. So can you imagine what it would have looked like if I'd had a black back with the black thread? It would have been gorgeous. It's okay, right? Like, it's a choice. And I learn every time I do a quilt that maybe there's something I like more than I like something else. But it's really important that you, even if you're not quilting it and you're sending it out, that you understand how that works with a long armor. So for example, this is, let's go. This is a quilt that okay, there it is, some antique blocks. And on the back, again, it's custom quilted. Can you see that the thread changed? When the block was yellow, she used yellow thread. When the block was red, she changed it. It's not that it's bad or wrong. It just looks different. Would I have chosen a different backing fabric? I don't know. I still love that because it's navy. I don't have a problem with it, but it's something to absolutely be considering. And then I just wanted to also show you, sometimes you find those fabrics that are so gorgeous. And we showed this not too long ago. I guess we did this maybe during our last blizzard for show and tell. But I picked this beautiful large. I mean, you can see my hand, like these, if I had cut this up, there's no way it would have looked good in a block, right? You'd be like, what was this little, doodad for? And so I chose this for the backing fabric, and then I based the entire quilt top on that. It's okay to do that too, right? Thank you very much, Goldie. So as you're picking and looking at all of these beautiful backs, just remember, how are you going to quilt it? So if you say, and you can see up here above me, here's a beautiful light colored quilt, a lot of white. She used white thread. If we used a light back on there so that it all looks very, I'll say good together. And again, just to reiterate, a long arm quilter, most likely a question to ask your long armer, because everybody has different preferences, but typically wants the bobbin thread to match the top thread. And why is that? It's because the needle size of a long arm needle is larger. And if, even with good tension, right? If you had black bobbin thread and white fabric on the top, it's likely that you could see a little black dot every time those threads met in the hole. And so you want to really be able to consider that as a possibility that might happen. So again, when we rent our long arm here, we talk about that. It's not that it has to be matchy, like we can put a gray with a blue and it all blends, but our goal would not to have black and white, right? Something high contrast like that. So that is something to consider. Let's see, let me go back to, and again, these are all personal preference, and I strongly encourage you, this is a great conversation to have with your long armor, because it's the kind of thing, that's decisions they have to make every time they make work on a quilt. Okay, let's see. Let's talk for a second about pieced backs. One of the things, again, I love suggesting that you use up fabric, right? That's what our goal is, right? Always use our stash. So if you've got fabrics left over from the front of your quilt and you want to use them in the back, that's great. You can have pieced backs. They can be crazy pieced back. They can be planned pieced backs. The one thing I caution you on is understanding that on a long arm, if you're sending it out to be long armed, that it is sometimes difficult to line things up perfectly. So if you said to me, and I use this example all the time. If you said, Heidi, I had one block left and I put it dead center in the middle of the back, and I want to have it dead center in the middle of the quilt top, I'm going to say, we'll do our best to put it in the back, but if it's off slightly or off up or top or bottom just a little bit, hope it's okay. Because again, once we load the back on a long arm, we can't see it, and you don't always know exactly how dense your quilting is going to be, what the quilt take up is going to be. There's all sorts of factors that you can't always predict. And so just want to always talk about that. All right. Couple last tips before I tell you your special today. And I mean, look at all these beautiful backs. The other thing is backing fabric, 108s and 118s, perfect for outer borders, as well as you could also use them for background prints or, so if you needed a large amount of a purple, like this beautiful one right here, you could get a couple yards and that could be your background fabric. With a real quick calculation, this is not at all scientific, but if you buy 1 yard of wide back, you're getting slightly over 2 yards of regular 44, 45, right? Because If I took that 108, divided it in half, that's 54. So 36 by 54 instead of 36 by 44. So you're getting more than 2 yards, but just real quick calculation, right? And I always like a little room for error in there. I don't know about you, but there's always that opportunity for a miscut. Okay, now, have you been to the website at henandchickstudio.com/springbreak and done poll number 3? So there are now 3 polls that are active, 1, 2, and 3. Number 4 will come up tomorrow. So you have 4 opportunities to get answer a poll and be in the drawing for the prizes that we're going to do on Friday morning. Okay? So again, 1 entry per day per poll, right? So you have the chance for 4 times that you're going to get in. No purchase required. You just get in a drawing, and I'm going to give stuff away on Friday. All right. So I want to remind you of that. So again, everything that we're talking about, and if you said, I missed yesterday's video, not a problem. It's all on that Spring Break page. So you can go to the home page on Hen and Chick Studio, and right at the top, there's the Spring Break logo. Click on that, or henandchickstudio.com/springbreak. Okay, all right. I see people. Liz, you've gotten your name in there. That is awesome. So yeah, again, might as well, right? Doesn't cost anything to enter. So what is my offer for you today? Well, I think our wide back selection is pretty darn awesome right now. There are, I should have double checked, I think over 80 cotton wide backs, and I'm talking just cotton wide backs. So for today, and this coupon is going to be good through April 19th kind of thing. So this is a good coupon. If you spend $100 or more in the cotton wide back category, and I'll tell you how to get there, 19% off, because today's the 19th. Okay. So think of it like, 3 yards, just real quick calculations. A lot of them are $22 a yard. So if you bought a 3-yard piece, which is 108 by 108, that would be $66. So 2 3-yard hunks is going to be 120 some. That throws you over. So it's probably more like 2.5 yards would get you. 2.5 yard pieces would get you into the discount range. And to find the fabrics that I'm talking about that are on sale, go to shop, all cotton fabrics, wide back, cotton wide backs. Okay, so it's the stuff that's in the cotton wide back section. Okay, nothing else, no other ones are on sale. And that's the coupon code is capital SBS 19. SBS, so Spring Break Snippets 19. SBS is all caps, no space between the 1 and the 9. That will get you 19% off an order of $100 or more from the cotton wide back category. And that's good through April 19th. So by all means, obviously, if we run out, then they're gone. But don't think we're going to quite run out, right? There's a few back here. There's just a few behind. We have a lovely rainbow going on right now. So that is a great deal. So get back to figuring out which quilts don't have backings, and you can grab some good backings at a little bit of a discount today. So I'll put all of that on the Spring Break page. So if you get off and you're like, oh, I forgot, that's what it is. Now I am going to regroup just like I did yesterday. And in 5 minutes or so, I'm going to do an unboxing because I've got more fabric. But that'll be in just a few minutes. So if you want to hang around the Facebook page, I'll come back up shortly. But in the meantime, this is the end of Spring Break Snippet number 2. Watch for our final segment tomorrow at 2:30. Thanks so much, and we will talk to you soon. Be creative.